So, the newest entry of the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 4 has just released this morning with Marvel Studios' What If. Not entirely sure the general consensus of today's episode, seeing as I don't really follow what other people have to say when it comes to this kind of stuff. I like to go in and watch it and form my own opinions, and with that, if you're curious on how I felt about the episode, I had a lot of fun with it. I found the action scenes to be quite energetic. There was a lot of cool things that they couldn't get away with in live action, or maybe they could have, but we haven't seen executed in live action in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with these characters before. But yeah, in any case, nothing super deep in the episode that I wanted to dive into. I just found the episode to be quite fun, and it gave me cool Saturday morning cartoon vibes, and that's honestly all I really needed from the show. Not exactly sure how it's going to tie into the greater Marvel universe. Maybe it'll get some live action spin-offs. I think I heard rumblings of that, and I'm sure it'll have no doubt a place to play in the future. I just don't know how big its impact will be. Whatever the case ends up being in that aspect, that's not exactly the angle that I wanted to take when talking about the show. I love animation, and I really love some of the older interpretations of their shows, whether it be from different studios holding those characters, like, Sony making the spectacular Spider-Man and things of that nature. I felt it's been a long time since we've had some diverse Marvel animated content like that, where it really just breaks away from the MCU mold and it doesn't have any relation to it, whether it be canon-wise or look-wise. With the launch of Disney Plus, I always had this question in the back of my head: does this open the door for more future Marvel animated properties? Is it possible to get a new Spider-Man cartoon, Iron Man cartoon, Fantastic Four, X-Men, and all of these characters within maybe their own separate isolated universes, or one shared animated universe that's separate from the MCU canon? Yeah, with the announcement of Marvel's What If, I was kind of let down in the fact that, oh man, it seems that now whether we get an animated project or not, it's gonna be MCU canon. Don't get me wrong, I do love the MCU for what it is. Granted, I do love Marvel better in other areas, whether that be the Insomniac Spider-Man universe or the previously mentioned Spectacular Spider-Man, or I don't know, I guess I just always liked the idea that, yeah, the MCU is going to be a thing, but so long as we keep getting other Marvel content in the form of cartoons that don't have to be connected to that universe, you get different tastes in different areas. So when What If was announced, I was kind of rubbed the wrong way. I was like, what? Animation in the MCU? It's kind of stuck to the formula of everything being live action with the same actors returning and things of that nature. Now having an animated property that's kind of forced to be linked to the MCU canon, even though they are twists on existing stories and set in a multiverse, it still looks as though, yeah, any future Marvel animated property is gonna have a link to the MCU in one form or another. And hey, I mean, it's not like that was a written rule or anything. It's not like they said any future animated Marvel property will have to be linked to the MCU in one way or another. That's just me coming up with something in my head, just based on the evidence, and hopefully that's not the case, because I would love to see Marvel thrive in areas outside of the MCU. And while the initial announcement of What If kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I do have to say, after watching the first episode, it does spark into my mind, maybe this is a gateway to the future of animation within Marvel. We know Sony is already willing to take a risk with animation when it comes to Spider-Man, as proven by the amazing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But I do wonder if Disney would ever be interested in letting the bigger Marvel universe that they have acquired branch out and have their own awesome animated adventures that don't have to be so tied to this Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, it would be a nice way to start from scratch with some of the fan favorite characters that some people didn't really like how they were adapted within the MCU. You can bring in newcomers, existing fans of the MCU, those who didn't really like how the characters were handled, as I said before, expand on characters that maybe haven't even been introduced in the MCU yet or got little utilization beforehand. And I don't think doing this would tarnish the experience that comes with the MCU once it gets to places that the animated show might cover before the MCU does, because to think that would say that the existing comics kind of tarnish the movie-going experience when that's not the case whatsoever. So I don't know, maybe it's just me. I love cartoons, and I really want to see Marvel in more unique ways than just being so linked to the MCU. And again, that's not a shot at the MCU. I love that for what it is. It's just that seeing this episode of What If had me thinking, what if Marvel allowed themselves to get their characters and put them in an animated format, 2D, CG, however they want to take it, but just have it be in its own unique universe where it doesn't have to be so linked to the MCU. And sure, you can argue that the Disney XD shows that came out in the past few years do that exact same thing, but come on. With streaming, you can get away with more. The content within the episodes can cater to a more broad audience than just the very young demographic that the Disney XD shows try to aim at. I mean, with a clean slate like this, you can take so many routes with it. Do you want to just have each character that you make an animated series for be set in its own contained universe? No cameos of any other characters from any other world? That's fine. It makes for a tighter, more concise story. Or do you want to take the approach that the early 2000s DC animated universe made with Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited, and all of that, and do that with the new Marvel animated universe on Disney Plus? Go for it. The possibilities are endless without having to be chained down by the 10 plus years that the MCU laid out as its foundation. I don't know, Marvel has the money, they have the talent, and they could totally do this on Disney Plus if they really wanted to. And I just wanted to throw the idea out there because I want to have that discussion with you guys and see where the rest of the world is landing on this and if they have any similar feelings to me. I'm not sure if I'll talk about this show on a weekly basis or anything like that. We'll have to see how I feel about the next few episodes coming up. And I really like this one. Like I said, a lot of fun. I didn't want to talk about the episode exclusively because I more so wanted to talk about this angle of Marvel animation in the state that it's in now, because that was what was on my mind the majority of the episode, despite enjoying the episode. You know, I could think multiple things at once, okay? Don't insult me like I wasn't watching this show. It was great. It was fun. What did you guys think of today's episode of Marvel Studios' What If? What do you think is going to come from the future of the series? Do you think that we're going to go to different pocket dimensions and different universes as a result of this episode? Or do you think we'll be on this one straight pocket universe and all of the episodes will influence this one timeline? I don't know. We'll find out in the coming episodes. Just let me know what you think. And if Marvel's looking to take advantage of the future of animation and do things outside of the MCU, what do you guys want to see? We might not get a spectacular Spider-Man season 3, but we can definitely get a spiritual successor that's just as good or better if we get that team back and they could create a new version that's just as true to the comics and all that stuff on Disney Plus. It could happen. You never know. So give me your dream Marvel animated series in the comments down below as well. And if you want to type out your entire plot for what that show would look like, I'd be definitely down to read it. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate all the support that you give me. Make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel and want to see more discussions like this. I've been Geekly, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.